Welcome back to James DIY Garage. I'm James. This is my Maserati Ghibli SQ4. And this is the 7th part in the 7 Series 70,000 mile service on my Maserati Ghibli SQ4. Today we're going to be changing the oil. I know I've done a video on that already, but this is the 3rd oil change I've done on this car since I've owned it. So, since the last oil change, we put 7,982 miles on this in the last 9 months and 7 days. So I don't wait for the 12,500 recommended miles to change the oil. I do mine between every 7,000 and 8,000 miles, and we're right on cue here. So today's the day to do the oil change. So that's what's coming up next. Before we get started with the oil change, which will be just a quick video, I want to go over some things that we've learned from the previous videos. There were 4 videos where we learned something that we didn't know before I started the job. The first one is the power steering fluid change. We learned that the noise and the vibration upon refilling the reservoir during the refill process is normal and will go away once we have all the air bled out of the system. The brake fluid change was a design flaw in my bleed bottle. I didn't put a hole to allow for air to escape while the fluid was being bled into the bottle, which built up pressure in the bottle. So when I pulled the hose off the caliper bleed fitting, I couldn't contain the pressure in the hose and it just squirted everywhere and made a mess. So we learned a lesson from that. Make sure you've got an air hole for air to escape in your bleed bottle. The coolant change, we learned that something I didn't know before I started. We have to remove the front bumper in order to gain access to the drain valve. There's a hole in the frame that you stick a flathead screwdriver through to open the valve. You have to remove the front bumper in order to get to that. That made the job a lot longer than I anticipated. So now we understand why they charge so much money just to drain the fluid, just to change the radiator fluid. And the serpentine belts. We learned that the oil that we found in the intake tube underneath the filter box leading to the turbocharger is normal because that's where the crankcase vents to. So we learned that. I freaked out when I first saw that and I just got worried and I'm thinking, oh God, now I got to replace the turbocharger because my turbocharger seal is leaking. No, that's not a turbocharger seal leak. That's where the crankcase ventilates to. So it's perfectly normal. So with that, let's get started on the oil change. I'm going to let the engine warm up first, back the car out a little bit, and when we come back, we'll start the oil change. So these are the tools and supplies you're going to need to change oil on a Maserati Ghibli SQ4. Let's start out with the tools. For the engine underguard covers, you're going to need a T27 Torx bit, a 10mm socket. I use this adapter so that I can use it with my electric screwdriver. You're also going to need a Phillips screwdriver head. There are 4 screws underneath there. Now let's go to the drain plug. You're going to need a 10mm Allen socket for the drain plug. Also, when you go to install the drain plug, it's good to have a torque wrench set to 25 foot-pounds. Not required, but you do not want to over torque that drain plug. Now onto the filter. You're going to need a 27mm socket for the filter, as well as some extensions to get down in there, whichever comfortable, so that it'll reach. You're also going to need a breaker bar, which you'll be using for both the drain plug and the filter. You're also going to need a flathead screwdriver to undo the clamps on the air filter cover. You need to remove the air filter cover and the air filter so that you'll gain easier access to the oil filter. And of course, the electric screwdriver. You'll also need a funnel and a good supply of rags. Now for the supplies. You'll need a crush washer for the oil drain plug. You also need an OEM oil filter. I got away with ordering just the filter once. It only cost me $14 for the filter. But there is a check valve in the cap that does need to be replaced just to be on the safe side. So I always order from now forward. I'll always order the one with the cap. And you'll also, for the SQ4, need at least 9 quarts of Euro Platinum Euro fully synthetic 5W40 engine oil. In this case, I have Pennzoil. So throughout this video, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to announce what I'm going to do, and then I will fast forward the video. To start, I'm going to remove the air filter cover. I will have to vacuum the inside of this out. Remove the oil filler cap. Remove the dipstick. Check the oil. Oil looks good. You see how I put that rag down inside there by the filter to minimize oil seepage onto the engine. Now let's remove the oil filter. I'm going to just hold it here for a little bit, just to let the oil drain down in. And then, here's the cap. That doesn't feel good at all. It looks like it separated itself. Ah, there we go. Yes, it did. See that? It separated itself. I'm glad I chose to do this more frequently. I don't know how normal it is for this oil filter element to separate itself like that, but this is my 3rd oil change on this car, and this is the first time it's done it. I have a 2014 Jeep Grand Cherokee which uses a similar oil filter element, same setup, and it's never done that. I've changed oil on that 3 times, as well as my old 300. I've changed oil on my old 300, which has the same oil setup, same type of oil filter element, and it's never done it. So I don't know how normal this is on the Maseratis. I always forget to mention about these plastic clips, that buttons that are in here. There's one there, there's a couple more back there that we have to do. There are 3 of them before we can get the bottom guard off. So you'll need some special tools. These are the tools you'll need to remove those buttons. Okay, here we are underneath the car, and you can see that's the oil drain plug, and this hose here, which goes directly underneath the drain plug, I bungee corded off so that when I undo this, oil doesn't get on it. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's go ahead and see if I can do this with a camera. There we go. That wasn't too hard. That wasn't too hard. Gave way. Oh shit. Still got oil all over the place. Yeah. Huh? Yeah. I'm good. Oh shit. So, this hose here, which is rigid, can't do anything about it. It's in the way. So, it's still going to get away. That's what's going to cause another mess. And it did, as you can tell. Okay. Let's put the cap back on. Got the new crush washer on. So, after first coating all 3 of the O-rings with new oil, that's this one, and this one, so that it fits in there easier. We can fit the filter into the holder here. Hand thread it in. Until it's as snug as you can get it with your hand. Then using your tool, tighten it down just until it won't go no more. You don't want to tighten this too much because it's plastic. Just until it won't go no more. The O-ring will keep it from leaking. As long as you don't see any O-ring around the edge, you're good. You start the refill process by putting 8 quarts of oil in. This is for the SQ4, the rear-wheel drive models. I don't know how much they take. Okay, I've put 8 quarts of oil back into the engine. I put the air filter cover back on, and I put the dipstick back in, and the oil filler cap is back on. We're going to start the engine and let it run for a few minutes. So after I started the car, I let the car run for 5 minutes until it was warm, shut the car down, then I let it set for 10 minutes to allow all the oil to drain back into the sump. And I'm going to check the oil, and we're at minimum. So we're going to add half a quart. So I have a quart of oil here. I will put half of it in. We'll wait for a minute and check it again. Okay, after waiting for a few minutes, we'll check it again. It went up a little bit, but it's halfway between min and full. You don't want to overfill this. If you do, then you have to remove some. You have to remove enough to get it to the full level, because it could damage the engine. So we'll add a little bit more and see how far that gets us. We'll wait about a couple of minutes for this to drain down into the oil sump. Okay, after giving it another few minutes, check the oil, and we are almost to the full. Very close, about I'd say maybe 1/8 of an inch below the full line. And I've got just a little bit, well, I'm just going to add a little bit more oil left in just to get it to the full mark, just a little bit. That's it. That's all I'm going to add, because I don't want to overfill. And we're going to wait a minute or two for this to get down there and check it again. Okay, let it set for a few more minutes after adding that little bit. And it's right at the full mark now. Perfect. I got it right at the full mark, right where I want it. Like I said, you don't want to overfill this. If you overfill it, then I've done it once. I've used this tube, sticking this tube down into the dipstick hole all the way there and siphoning oil out until I had enough out just to reach the full line. And that took a little while. It's a pain in the butt too, but that's what I use this little hose for if I need to take some out. Okay, all that remains now is to go underneath and put the covers back on, the engine underguard covers, and wipe everything down and clean up. Well, the oil change is complete. I've got the engine undercover guards back on, the oil level is full, no leaks detected, so we're good to go. All I got to do is clean this mess up, and I have a mess to clean up. It's inevitable. When you change oil on a Maserati Ghibli, you're gonna make a mess. It's because of that one hose. You can pull the other one back out of the way, but it's that other one that you can't move. That the oil, when it comes streaming out, it's gonna hit that and it's gonna splatter all over the place, up into the frame. It's just gonna make a big mess. Nothing you can do about it. Unless somebody, one of my subscribers mentioned that he wants to invent a like a funnel or a guide that will guide the oil down into the pan around that or underneath that line. If that becomes available, I will definitely get one for my next oil change. So with that, thank you so much for watching my video. This is the last video in the 7-part series, 70,000 mile service on the Maserati Ghibli. The 70,000 mile service is complete. So, thank you for watching my video. Please click the subscribe button, click the bell so you'll be notified when the other videos come out. And if you like this video, please click the like button. So, as always, until then. And if you own a Maserati, be sure to get your thrills every day.